Welcome back to Conspiracy Theories and Chill. On this episode, I'm going to go into 25 of my favorite Mandela effects. The Mandela effects are a phenomenon where many people remember things a way that they never actually were. There are many theories on the causes of this phenomenon. One theory is that glitches in spacetime are being caused by experiments done at CERN. Another is that the Mayans were correct and the world did end in 2012, and since then we've been traveling realities. Some even think the world as we know it is a computer simulated matrix, and what we're experiencing are bugs in the system. Others just believe it's bad memory causing Mandela effects. But whatever it may be, I find the Mandela effects fascinating. And if you do too, stick around because you will love this video, because I'm going to go into 25 of my personal favorite Mandela effects. Now, as you know, there are hundreds of Mandela effects out there, so you can understand how hard it would be to narrow down a list of 25. But to rank them was just too much because I experienced every Mandela I'm going to talk about on this list, and many of them just blow my mind too much. So in no particular order, here are my top 25 Mandela effects. Let's start with changes in famous logos. Like Febreze. Everyone knows the fabric freshener spray Febreze, but how is it spelled? I and many others remember it like this, with double E's. But it's always been like this, no matter how much myself and others would absolutely swear it at least used to be like this. It even makes more grammatical sense for it to be this way, but no, it's always been like this. The same is true for all the logos on this list, by the way. It's not that the logo or name has changed, like people always like to say. I looked into these, and in these examples, it's never been the way people remember it being. It's not a logo change, it's a Mandela effect. For instance, many people remember Jiffy peanut butter, but there never was a Jiffy peanut butter. It's always just been JIF Jif that choosy moms chose because they couldn't choose Jiffy because it didn't ever exist. Another good one is KitKat. It has always been spelled just like that, KitKat smushed together. Not like this with a dash in the middle. You know the way that looks right? No, it's always been this, no dash. I remember KitKat having a dash between kit and cat. And what do you remember? Tell me in the comments. For this next one, picture the Monopoly Man. Does he have a monocle? The correct answer is no. He's never had a monocle. Many people, myself included, remember vividly him having one, but no, he never did. Now what about Curious George? When you think of him, does he have a tail? I thought he did, but I'm wrong again because he never did have a tail. Then there's the Publishers Clearinghouse. When you think of the Publishers Clearinghouse, who do you picture as their spokesman? If you're like me and many others, you remember it being Ed McMahon. But Ed was never the spokesman for Publishers Clearinghouse. In fact, they never had a spokesman at all. By now you may be feeling dizzy and wondering if we do live in a matrix. Well, here's one from that movie. What if I told you that this famous scene where Morpheus says to Neo, "What if I told you that everything you believe is a lie," is actually not in the movie at all? That blew me away, and what's causing it is probably the famous meme series that was made out of that picture. But I remember it being in the movie, and many people do. Another good one is from Silence of the Lambs, where Hannibal says, "Hello, Clarice." Good scene, right? I agree, but we're wrong because he never says that. He says good morning. He doesn't even say good morning, Clarice, just good morning. The movie's name is also a Mandela because it's not Silence of the Lambs at all. It's The Silence of the Lambs. Even though most people don't remember the, it's always been there. Now this next one's from the Wayans brothers comedy parody film Scary Movie. Marlon Wayans' character is parodying a line from the hit film Sixth Sense, in which the main character reveals that they see dead people. And many people remember Marlon saying, "I see white people," which is funny, and it was a comedy after all, but no. He says, "I see dead people," just like the kid from Sixth Sense, which isn't a joke and makes no sense. There are a lot of Mandelas in the movies. This next one has to do with the intro to Disney films. Do you remember Tinkerbell swooping in and sprinkling fairy dust before each Disney film? I do, but we shouldn't, because it's always just been the castle. Tinkerbell did fly in the television show intro, which is where people are probably getting it from, but I remember her in the films too. The classic Disney film Snow White has a big Mandela effect in it as well. Many people remember the evil witch saying, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" But it's not mirror, mirror, it's magic mirror. That sounds so wrong, but check it out. She says magic mirror on the wall. And The Wizard of Oz has got two Mandelas in it, so it has to be on this list. The first one we gotta address is again with something an evil witch says. The wicked witch, when she's sicking her flying monkeys on Dorothy's caravan, yells out, "Fly, my pretties," in my memory. But I'm wrong again, because she only says fly, fly, fly. For this next one from Wizard of Oz, think about the Scarecrow. Now, in your memory of him, does he have a gun? He does now. Or rather, he always did, but I don't remember him ever having a gun. It just looks wrong. Or how about this iconic scene from Star Wars where Darth Vader says, "Luke, I'm your father." Except he doesn't ever say that. What he actually says is, "No, I'm your father." Even now, as I'm reading that, my brain is fighting with itself. "Luke, I'm your father" looks right to me and many others, but it's wrong nonetheless. Now, the biggest movie one has got to be from the James Bond film Moonraker. And it has to do with the character Jaws' love interest and how she used to have braces, which makes the whole connection between the two of them make sense, but now her braces are gone. See, Jaws never thought he'd find love because of his metal teeth, but then she smiled at him and he saw she also had metal teeth, but now she just has a regular smile and it's just all wrong. This next one on my list also reflects a big change in reality for me. Do you remember Bruce Springsteen's iconic album Born in the USA? Think about the album cover where Bruce is standing with his back turned and he's wearing blue jeans and a white t-shirt and has what in his back pocket? If you remember a red bandana, I'm right there with you. But it's not a red bandana now, it's a red hat. Or how about the classic Queen song, "We Are the Champions"? In the climax of the song, I remember him singing, "We are the champions of the world." But he does not. In the studio recording, he does not sing "of the world." Where this Mandela comes from is he did sing it that way in the live versions, but I and many other people remember the radio version having him singing that way, but it doesn't and it never did. Historical events changed as well, like the Lindbergh baby. Many people remember the Lindbergh baby never being found, but the Lindbergh baby was found and his kidnappers were captured. Or what about the 1997 Tyson Holyfield fight? I watched this fight on pay-per-view when it first happened. I remember it vividly, and in my memory of the fight, Tyson bit a big chunk out of Evander's ear. But if you look back on it now, he still bites him, and he even breaks the skin, but he doesn't bite out a chunk and spit it out the way I remember. Now, this next one's a little embarrassing, but for a while, I've since corrected myself, but for a long time, I thought there were 52 states. I since found out I'm not alone, and this is also a Mandela effect. Many people remember there being 52 states and remember being taught that in school. However, there are only 50 states, not 52. Speaking of getting numbers wrong, how many times did we land on the moon? I thought it was 6, but Neil deGrasse Tyson and many others think we only landed on the moon 1 time.
And had I known that our first steps on the moon would essentially be our last steps on the moon, I would have done somersaults. I would have said, "Oh my gosh, this is a unique moment in the history of our species. Never to happen again. Let me revel and celebrate and pop champagne corks."
Now, many people remember there being only one moon landing, but Neil deGrasse Tyson is an astrophysicist. He studies space for a living and doesn't know how many moon missions there were. Meanwhile, I learned of 6 with a basic high school education. Famous art has changed as well, like the Thinker statue. Think about the famous Thinker statue. Is he leaning on his fist? I and many people remember it like that, but no, his hand is open now, not a closed fist, and he's just lazily leaning on it. The Mona Lisa has changed too. The Mona Lisa used to have no expression. You couldn't tell if she was happy, sad, or indifferent. But now she's clearly smiling. That's a smirk, even. This Mandela is way up there for me because I clearly remember the Mona Lisa being expressionless and that being a big talking point to the piece. But there's no mistaking now that she's clearly smiling. Now for the top three on my list. I know I said I couldn't rank these, and that's true, but I do have a top three. The first one is the Statue of Liberty, and it's in my top three because it has three Mandelas attached to it. To start, did you know that the Statue of Liberty was attacked, causing permanent damage to the torch section? I didn't, but you can look it up. It's known as the Black Tom Explosion. German spies blew up an ammunition barge, causing a huge explosion measuring a 5.5 on the Richter scale. It was the first terrorist attack on American soil, and ever since that attack, the torch has been closed to the public. But many people have memories of visiting the torch section, even though they couldn't have in this reality because it's been closed off since 1916. Another thing that has changed with the statue is its location. Many people, including myself, remember the Statue of Liberty being located on Ellis Island, but it's not. It's located on Liberty Island. Number two on my list has to do with a historical figure. Eli Whitney, the inventor of the cotton gin. Now, when you think of Eli Whitney, in your memory, is he a white man or a black man? I remember him as a black man and have vivid memories of learning about him in school during Black History Month, but no. Eli Whitney is and always has been a white man. That blows my mind so much it had to be number two on my list. Beaten out only by the Mandela that, in my opinion, is the godfather of them all, the Berenstain Bears, or rather the Berenstain Bears as they're known in this reality. I say that way because I was a big reader as a child, and I loved the Berenstain Bears books, and they were called the Berenstain Bears, because I always used to wonder if it was pronounced Steen or Stein. I remember struggling with this. I knew how to say Stain. It wasn't Berenstain, it was Berenstein, and I'd bet my life on it. So thanks for stopping by and checking out my favorite Mandela effects. Let me know in the comments below if you share any of these with me, or you think there are some better ones that I left off my list. Thanks for watching, and remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time right here from me on Things and Stuff.